Cora, Greek origin, Latinized version of the name Core, meaning maiden or daughter. Cora, or Core, is a name found in classical Greek mythology referring to Persephone. She was the goddess of spring and the daughter of Zeus and Demeter, who was the goddess of agriculture. Apparently, and unbeknownst to me, I chose the most proper name for this young one. Let me explain. Cora's journey began back in March when the land was carpeted in blooming spring flowers, and if raising your eyes from the ground, you were greeted by magnolias and camellias alike. Upon landing in Portugal, her mother and I got to work on the design and preliminary ideas behind the creation of this doll. She was to be inspired by another little one made long ago, Miss Henrietta Swan. I do love it when I can reconnect to a past doll's energy via the making of a new one. At the time, I was occupied with photographing and saying goodbye to Miss Elizabeth Bennet, so having another doll near my hands was paramount to embracing the departure of all things Jane Austen. I started working on her in the Serra de Lusa and took her with me both to Andalusia and the Algarve, and back all the way back to central Portugal. She was with me through thick and thin, this one. Felting a doll, working on her in her armature, it all felt a bit like a balm to my heart as I was emotionally battling the loss of my precious dog Luna, my 10-year companion. Having a doll to concentrate on and be happy about was literally like having daily tea with your best friend when you're feeling down. Now established in our new home, with supplies arriving at my doorstep and beautiful views impacting me every day, I set out to work in earnest. I purchased a beautiful old sewing machine at a thrift store, and once I swapped the leather cord for an electric motor, I got to work on her many clothes. And many and beautiful clothes were made. We both had big plans, several dresses, pin tucks, and lace. Since my serger was still back in Canada, I decided to try all the tiny and consuming ways of finishing the seams on her clothes, and I'm happy to report I am a new convert to the English flat fail seam. It is the one that seems to work the best for me, with less planning and less concern to finish any seam I need to enclose. While I now have the trusty Genome serger back with me, I still plan to finish seams this way, on special items of clothing for special dolls. I do welcome the speed and ease of using the serger though. I am no Luddite. June brought quite a few rainy days, a cool respite from the soaring summer temperatures. Cora and I plodded on, assembling, making choices, and toiling over fabric treatments. Once her garments were all made, using cloth, yarn, and leather, I had the brilliant idea of making her one last dress, to thank her mother for her unbelievable patience as I had weeks and weeks and weeks to work on this little girl. I wanted something ultra special, not that the other clothes weren't special, I just wanted something epic, very different than what I normally sew for my dolls. The opportunity arose to create an heirloom-inspired doll dress, and Cora had her name on it. We chose handkerchief linen, embroidery floss, insertion lace, baby entredeaux, Valenciennes lace, and pin-tucks everywhere. I decided to teach while making this dress and had so much fun creating the dress for Miss Cora. Perhaps one day I can repeat such enterprise, but for now, I am very glad I did. I got to work slowly on her dress while sharing my stitching moments with kindred souls. Cora asked to visit the meadows close to our house. I go by them almost every day. I think that will be her name in my head, Cora of the Meadows. So much of her making I spent surrounded by flowers, with blooming hydrangeas near my studio window, with blackberries and Queen Anne's lace bending to the wind. The sounds of summer are imprinted in me when I think of her, my sweet Cora of the Meadows. She's well and rested now from her journey across the ocean, safely tucked in the company of many of her fig and me siblings. I am grateful and comforted that I had her with me when I did, and I wish her a joyful life. Now I must return to the studio, where my green sewing machine, my now dried hydrangeas, and my bundles of linen await. Be well, and see you soon.